It was 2:14 a.m. when the doorbell notification woke me up. Not the loud chime from the hallway speaker, just the soft vibration from my phone on the nightstand. First I ignored it. My neighborhood was quiet, the kind of quiet where nothing ever really happened after midnight. Deliveries came during the day. Friends texted before visiting. And strangers never rang doorbells in the middle of the night. But the vibration happened again. I reached for my phone, squinting at the bright screen in the dark room. The notification read, "Front door motion detected." I live alone, so that immediately made my stomach tighten. Still half asleep, I opened the doorbell camera app. The loading circle spun for a second before the live feed appeared. The camera pointed straight at my front porch like always, the welcome mat, the wooden railing, the quiet street beyond. But there was no one there. No delivery driver. No neighbor. Not even a passing car. Just an empty porch glowing faintly under the porch light. I frowned and scrubbed my hand across my face, thinking maybe it was just a bug in the motion sensor. Cameras sometimes picked up shadows or insects flying past the lens. I'd seen it happen before. Then the notification appeared again. Front doorbell pressed. That made me sit up. Someone had just rung it. My heart began beating faster as I switched to the recorded clip. The app replayed the moment the doorbell button was pressed. The camera view didn't change. The porch was still empty. But the button moved. I watched it again, leaning closer to the screen. The round metal doorbell button slowly pressed inward like a finger was pushing it. Then it released. No hand. No shadow. No person. Just the button moving on its own. I stared at the screen for a long moment, waiting for something to move. The porch light flickered slightly in the night air, and the empty street beyond my driveway looked exactly the same as it always did. Calm. Still. Normal. But that doorbell button had definitely moved. I replayed the clip again. The same thing happened every time. The button slowly pushed inward, paused for half a second, and released again. If someone had been standing there, the camera would have captured at least a shadow or a sleeve. But there was nothing. Just empty space and the button moving like an invisible hand had pressed it. A cold feeling started creeping up my spine. Maybe someone was standing just outside the camera's view. The lens didn't capture the entire porch. Someone could be leaning against the wall near the door frame, just out of sight. That explanation made enough sense to push me out of bed. I grabbed my phone and quietly walked down the hallway. The house felt different at night, darker, heavier somehow. Every step on the wooden floor sounded louder than usual. When I reached the front door, I stopped. The camera notification popped up again. Front door motion detected. My hand froze inches from the handle. Slowly, I opened the camera app again. The porch appeared on my screen. Still empty. Then, right in front of my eyes, the doorbell button pressed in again. This time it happened while I was standing on the other side of the door. My chest tightened. Whoever, or whatever, was pressing it was only a few inches away from me. I swallowed and leaned closer to the door, trying to hear something outside. Footsteps. Breathing. Anything. Nothing. Just silence. Then my phone buzzed again. But it wasn't the doorbell app this time. It was a text message. From an unknown number. The message was short. Don't open the door. For a few seconds I just stood there, staring at the message. Don't open the door. The words sat on my screen like they had weight. My first thought was that someone outside was messing with me. Maybe a neighbor playing a prank, or someone who somehow got my number and wanted to scare me. But that didn't explain the doorbell. My thumb hovered over the keyboard before I finally typed back. Who is this? The message showed as delivered almost instantly. Then the typing dots appeared. My heartbeat started climbing again. The reply came. I'm watching your camera feed. I frowned and glanced at the front door camera app still open on my screen. The empty porch stared back at me. Whoever had sent that message clearly wasn't standing outside. Another message appeared before I could respond. The doorbell is going to ring again. I felt the muscles in my neck tighten. 2 seconds later, the doorbell button slowly pressed inward again on the live camera feed. My stomach dropped. The person texting me had predicted it. My phone vibrated again, see? I stepped away from the door, suddenly very aware of how alone I was in the house. My mind started running through possibilities. Maybe someone had hacked the doorbell camera. That seemed more logical than anything supernatural. But then another thought slipped in. If someone had hacked the camera, they could probably see inside the house too. I quickly turned around and looked down the dark hallway behind me. The living room sat in shadows, the furniture barely visible in the dim light from the kitchen. Another text came. "Do you live alone?" I didn't answer. My throat felt dry. A moment later, the next message appeared. "You shouldn't open the door." I typed back slowly. Why? The typing dots appeared again, then stopped. A new message finally arrived. "Because whoever is ringing your doorbell isn't outside." My fingers went cold around the phone. Isn't outside. I read the message 3 times, trying to make it make sense. The words felt wrong, like they belonged in a nightmare instead of my quiet house at 2 in the morning. I typed back immediately. "What do you mean?" For a moment there was no response. The typing dots didn't appear this time. The screen stayed still, reflecting my own anxious face in the glass. Then my phone buzzed again in my hand. Another message from the unknown number. "Look at your camera history." My chest tightened. Slowly, I opened the doorbell app again and switched from the live view to the motion recordings. There were several clips from the last 10 minutes, each one triggered by the doorbell being pressed. I opened the first clip. Empty porch. The button pressing itself. I opened the second. The same thing. Then I opened the third. First it looked identical, but halfway through the clip something changed. A shadow moved across the porch light. Not outside the door. Inside. My breath caught in my throat as I rewound the clip and watched again, this time paying attention to the thin strip of glass beside my front door. The narrow window reflected part of my hallway, and in the reflection behind the camera's view of the porch I could see the inside of my house. A dark figure was standing there, inside the hallway, right behind the door. I felt my stomach drop as I slowly turned around. The hallway behind me was empty. My phone buzzed again in my hand. Another message from the unknown number. "I've been trying to warn you." My hands trembled as I typed. "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "I live across the street. I can see your porch camera." Another buzz followed before I could process it. "And something walked into your house about 10 minutes ago." My heart started pounding. Then the doorbell rang again, this time from inside the house. Subscribe for more.